Happy Valentine's Day and welcome to Real Authority. Today I'm talking about Wuthering Heights, the Valentine's Day movie of the year. I guess they don't often release romance movies on Valentine's Day and have them be a success. As it turns out, this is an exception. Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi play Kathy and Heathcliff, two individuals who grow up together and start developing feelings, but an event occurs which causes both of them to drift apart. Now, this is years later, in which things are drastically different, and they are curious as to whether or not this love thing can still work. I have not read the novel nor seen any of the other adaptations. I mean, the movie's literally in quotation marks in all the marketing, so I kind of expected it not to be a direct adaptation. In fact, I heard it was director Emerald Fennell's interpretation of the story. So, for those who are familiar with the work, let me know if you see this movie. What are the differences between the novel and this? I'm genuinely curious. I also haven't seen Fennell's previous output. I mean, the movie did intrigue me, yeah, but I didn't really have high expectations outside of the cinematography. I don't know, the trailers really didn't sell me, or at least the first one didn't. The second one did pick up its game, but I know of the controversy surrounding it, especially with the casting of Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi. I'm not an expert in Wuthering Heights lore, so yeah. But I mean, I was very interested in it, and I guess starting off with the positives, like the single greatest thing about this movie is the cinematography. The thing I was most excited about, and it really didn't disappoint. Linus Sandgren's cinematography is really something special, to the point with pending Project Hail Mary and Dune Part 3 cinematography, it may actually win Best Cinematography at the Oscars next year. It's just that beautiful. Like, it carries this movie so far, and it doesn't really even have anything to do with the movie. I'll get to the contents of the film as well as the story in a second. But I mean, man, the movie just looks beautiful. You can't help but awe at the beauty of the film, complemented by impeccable costume and production designs. Jacqueline Duran and Charlotte Durix really do a stellar job at making this period accurate, or at least have the colors pop out in a way which is truly something special. So I have to give those three elements the most amount of credit out of this entire film, because even if you do not like the film overall, you cannot deny those three elements really are what this movie has in its strong suit. I was surprised at how well the rest of the movie worked. Like, Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, like, maybe they're miscast, sure. But I mean, they're two talented actors. Elordi definitely has Robbie beat. Like, Elordi's literally likely going to win Best Supporting Actor for Frankenstein, so he's totally someone you'd expect to give a fantastic performance, and I do think he does here. Robbie does good too, but the two really have strong chemistry, and it's more of a love-hate relationship than like a total love relationship. I'm not going to get into it because of spoilers, but I do feel like both sell that dynamic pretty well. Although I will say there were other standouts in the cast, like the child versions of themselves. I feel like they give the strongest performances of the movie, in my opinion. Like, I feel like once it transitions to Margaret and Elordi, it kind of feels a bit jarring. That's just me, though. But that's how good Charlotte Mellington and Owen Cooper are as the younger versions of themselves. That is to say, the first 20 minutes are perhaps the best of the movie, but I mean, hey, that's not a big deal. Also, Alison Oliver as Isabella, I felt really did a tremendous job as her character, which I wasn't expecting. Like, her character is definitely odd, and I do feel like she sells that oddness to the point where you can't help but just have fun with her character. Like, she's not the most important character of the story, she's more or less a side character. But I have to mention her because she does so great in the role that it's kind of unmissable. The directing and screenplay from Emerald Fennell, like, I feel like the directing really does complement the direction, the set design, and production design, as well as the performances. The screenplay, it has its issues, I will get to them in a minute. Like, I feel like Fennell realizes the huge scope of this movie as well as experience in a pretty effective manner. Also, the score from Anthony Willis really did a solid job, although I was kind of expecting Charlie XCX's original songs throughout the entire movie. It really wasn't. Like, there were like three main songs in like the core of the movie, and then the rest of them are kind of in the credits, which is totally a fine thing. But they were hyping it up so much that I kind of believed it would be like the entire movie, but that's not a problem either. Although the best song of the soundtrack appears in the credits, Dying for You. Yeah, that was surprisingly good. Although this seems like a movie that was a shoo-in to be perfect, I do feel that there is a lot holding it back. Mainly three things that really keep it from being great. I do feel like time progression in movies, I usually expect it not to be the strongest in biopics, but this is a movie that really would have benefited from like identifying when time progresses, because it feels like years go by and you're not even aware of it, to the point where you basically have to tune into the dialogue, which isn't a problem, but you really have to lock in order to understand when's this taking place, when's that taking place. Like, I do feel time progression is not emphasized enough in this film, to the point where you may feel lost. Also, although the pacing, I do feel the 2 hour and 16-minute runtime, like, it definitely isn't boring by any stretch of the word, but there are moments where it does feel like stagnant. Like, it feels like nothing of real significance or intrigue is going on. Not to say you fall asleep or anything, because you don't. But I feel like refining the script to be tighter would have been a better idea, which is to say that pieces do feel like they're missing outside of time progression. Which really does suck, because this movie's trying to be incredibly emotional, and while a lot of moments can be described as that, without any knowledge on the Wuthering Heights novel, I do feel that they left stuff out that I feel would have really benefited from keeping in. No spoilers, but like toward the end of the movie, something like very dramatic happens, and it feels like it's only there for the last 15 minutes and not really set up outside of like one brief line of dialogue. I don't know, I feel like there are things missing which really would have benefited from not being excluded. Wuthering Heights is not a great movie, but it did surprise me in terms of how good it was. But I do feel disappointed at the fact that it really could have easily been like a 10 out of 10. I mean, the cinematography, production, and set designs are all that, but its narrative weaknesses definitely hold it back and are noticeable. And I'm not sure if the changes this movie makes to the novel will frustrate fans, so I'm coming at this from a casual perspective. It is good. Solid acting, fantastic direction, mostly good screenplay, as well as the aforementioned production, set design, and cinematography make it so that the real authority approves. Very simple when it really could have been more. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and comment your thoughts on the movie. And once again, let me know what drastic changes this movie makes to the original novel and whether you're okay with that. Alright, happy Valentine's Day once again. Peace.